Welcome to the world where mystery meets the mind-bending realities of the future. Are you ready to dive deep into the captivating story of Bodies Limited Series 2023, where every twist and turn leaves you craving for more? We'll explore the hidden themes, dissect the complex characters, and connect the dots that make this series a masterpiece. And let's get started on this incredible journey through the Bodies Limited Series 2023. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail. Bodies is a brand new mystery thriller series on Netflix that makes for an intriguing and bizarre watch because to its original concept and competent execution. The series, which heavily draws from both crime, thriller, and science fiction genres, follows 4 police investigators as they investigate a strange death in a specific downtown alley throughout the course of 4 separate time periods in London. The most peculiar fact, however, is that the victim is the same man in all 4 cases, which span 4 separate time periods. Threat of a bomb blast that has the potential to completely destroy London heightens the seriousness of this already enigmatic idea. Overall, Bodies makes for an entertaining watch with great thrills and is fueled by commendable acting performances. What is the series about? Bodies begins in the present time in the year 2023 with a focus on Detective Sergeant Shahara Hassan, who works in the London Metropolitan Police. Shahara is a single mother to her young son Jade, whom she races with the help of her loving and caring father Ishal. On this particular day, Shahara joins up with her team to provide security at a far-right extremist protest site in White when there seems to be a surge in the electrical power. And she spots a young man hiding behind a dumpster and aiming a gun at the protesters. Shahara is quick to respond as she chases the man and soon enters a small alleyway named Long Harvest Lane. However, the sight that waits for her here is all the more peculiar, as the body of a man completely naked and bleeding from the left eye lies in the middle of the small alley as Shahara pulls out her gun. The young man returns the favor and manages to escape the scene. We are taken back around 82 years to the war-stricken London of 1941, where police detective Sergeant Carl Whitman is living a life of secrets. Despite being in the police force, he works for a mysterious woman whose identity he does not know. It is only through phone calls that Whitman is given his secret assignments, and on this particular night he is to drive to Long Harvest Lane and pick up a dead body to then drop it somewhere else. When the detective arrives at the place, he finds a man with a bleeding eye lying dead there and immediately gets working on his orders. 51 years earlier in 1890, Detective Inspector Edmund Hilling, head of the London Police, was roaming the streets when he heard a police whistle and reached the same place, i.e. Long Harvest Lane, to find the dead body of a man completely with a bleeding eye, which seemed to have mysteriously appeared at the place following the very same pattern. Bodies then reaches a time period in the future in 2053, where Detective Constable Iris Maplewood is driving through a technologically advanced London city. Her electric car gives way when an electromagnetic pulse sourced at Long Harvest Lane disrupts the power in the entire area, going into the small, now closed alley. Maplewood finds the same dead body as the previous 3 detectives, who was the victim found to be the strange man's body, is brought into the police Morgan, both 1890 and 2023, where it is inspected, and the investigators attempt to identify the person. This does not occur right away in the case of 1941, because Whiteman attempts to drive it to a different site, but is stopped by his senior commander. The officer was personally looking into Whiteman because he had a suspicion that he might be the snitch leaking information on the police force, or Weissman as his real name was. Whitman is helped by a German bomb dropped on London, though, as the officer perishes in the process. And Whiteman is given the task of looking into the bizarre incident the next day. As part of this investigation, the detective pretends to find the body in the trunk, and thus the body is taken to the police morgue. In these 3 time periods, the dead body is actually the very same one with the same strange and unbelievably mysterious clues. Firstly, the man had been killed by a bullet shot at his eye, and when the body is examined, no bullet exit wound is found, meaning that the bullet must still be inside the body. However, when the body is further opened up, no bullet is found, suggesting that it had somehow disappeared inside the body itself. Next, a specific marking is found on the left wrist of the body which cannot be linked to any other symbol or group, puzzling the detectives about what it actually means. All of these identical hints are discovered on the dead body in the year 2053, but it isn't until this year that the victim's identity is also discovered due to a terrible bombing in the past that altered the City of London's entire trajectory. The City of London in 2053 is also considerably different from other eras. London is currently governed by a tech company named Kyle and owned by the company's CEO, Commander Manx. It is incredibly sophisticated in technology and science, but only accessible to a few number of people. While DC Iris Maplewood had decided to join Kyle and be a part of the high-tech world, her brother had decided not to. It is with this brother's help that Iris illegally finds out about the victim of the murder, Gabriel Deo, a professor of quantum gravity theory. Since Gabriel Deo was actually born in 2021, the 2053 period is where the man is actually from, which explains why his identification could not be found in either of the other time periods over the course of bodies. It becomes increasingly clear that Defoe had created the Throat, a time-traveling device based on his study and studies, since one can only use this device to go in one direction to a different time period, either in the past or the future, and cannot return from it. It is revealed to be more of an experimental and primitive one after finding out about Defoe. Iris realizes that when his body was found at Long Harvest Lane, he had traveled back just 4 days in the future, therefore the real action takes place 4 days later, when Gabriel Deo walks into his own time machine and gets split over 4 different time periods, 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053. The unusual symbol on his wrist is also because of time travel, as everyone who goes through the Throat machine gets it. What is the bomb threat looming over London when DS Shahara Hassan learns about the Asian man who directed her to Long Harvest Lane in 2023? She conducts an inquiry and discovers the bomb threat soon after this man, Sid Taher, commits suicide. And in relation to this, Shahara discovers a Lee in another young man named Elias Monax. Elias was now residing with foster parents Andrew and Elaine Morley. After growing up in a children's home, Elias acknowledges that his foster parents asked him to commit an act of terrorism, making the inquiry by Shahara more dangerous and complicated according to the young man. The Morley wanted him to trigger a bomb blast that would wipe out the entirety of London. And soon, this actually turns out to be a very real plan in the works in the original 2023 timeline shown in Bodies. Shahara tries her best to reach out to Elias and calm him down so that he does not set off the bomb while the DS tries this. Andrew Morley plays an old record, which is surprisingly the voice of Elias Manx himself, but from a much older age. The older Elias talks directly to his younger self, as if he knew this situation would come, and he tells the boy that he must trigger the bomb, realizing by now that there is a real-time loop in the works. Shahara somehow manages to contain the situation when her colleague shoots Morley dead and the remote for the explosion is destroyed. However, Shahar and the police force ultimately fail when Elias's biological mother refuses to meet him, burdened by the grief of always being abandoned, and the shame of letting his foster parents down. Elias triggers the bomb with a backup method by dialing a number. Surely the bomb goes off, resulting in the deaths and injuries of thousands of people, and changing the dynamics of London forever. Although Shahara Hassan do survive this terrible day, she loses her father and then her son Jawad because of a disease from the bomb's effect. What is the time loop created by Elias Manx at the crux of Bodies? Is a time loop created by the traitor, Elias Manx, the very same individual who exploded the bomb in 2023, being a loop and not a plane. There is not really a beginning point to this strange set of occurrences, and as confusing as Bodies might be. In this regard, time is to be thought of as a circle, with no point of origin. It is perhaps best to start in 2023 when Elias is a teenager or young adult, with numerous mental and behavioral issues, mostly with regards to his troubled childhood born because of an accidental pregnancy. The boy did not know his father at all, and at the mere age of 4, he was abandoned by his mother as well. Following this, and the subsequent fostering of the Morley, Elias triggered the bomb, changing the shape of London forever, and then grew up under the wealth and influence of his family. Elias Manx went on to found the company Kyle in 2053, which stands for Know You Are Loved, a slogan he frequently uttered throughout the years he learns that a covert group named Chapel Perilous has been plotting his murder. He is the same Commander Manx that oversees DC Iris Maplewood. It turns out that Shahara Hassan formed Chapel Perilous, and Gabriel Deo is a respected member of the organization. Shahara quit her position, is a London police officer and pursued Elias Manx's life with a vengeance in 2023, the year when a bomb blast claimed the life of her son. Now that she knows who he is, Shahara gets a time machine to be made by Defo and intends to go back to the past to undo Manx's action and bring her son back to life. In a way, however, this plan goes terribly wrong when Elias Manx arrives at the Chapel Perilous hideout and holds everyone captive. The man now carries out a plan of his own, for he intends to keep his legacy intact over every possible time period. Elias steps into the throat and travels back in time to 1890 as the same adult man as he is in 2053. While recovering from the injuries of the fall in a hospital, he learns of a wealthy and influential family, the Harkers, the matriarch of which could not get over the loss of her son, who had apparently died in Burma during a war. Elias now entered the Harker house, claiming to be their son, Sir Julian Harker. And he further grew the wealth of the family by predicting the future for other rich and influential people of the time. Why does Iris meet Shahara in 2023? Iris and others may have unintentionally started another time loop when they attempted to stop Manx 1, in which someone from MX's family or someone else entirely founded the Know You Are Loved organization in the present, because of the possibility that the organization has already exploited people or may do so in the future. Defo sent us to the 202-23 timeframe to ask Shahara for assistance in stopping Kyle. It is entirely likely that the company will be responsible for the deaths of millions or trillions of people in a future. Without Manx, Iris and Shahara of the future had made some huge changes to the new time loop. For example, the two detectives, Carl and Edmund, who were meant to die prematurely, were both alive in their respective timelines. These two people, along with several other changes, created huge ripples in the new time loop. And that wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating world of Bodies Limited Series 2023. I hope this journey through the movie's intricate storyline and hidden meanings has been as thrilling for you as it was for me. If you enjoyed this explanation and want to dive deeper into more such amazing movies and series, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support means a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep exploring and keep loving cinema.